Okay, so let's start with today's presentation. So my name is Amol, and we will be talking about few tips that will help you, like if you are to let me give you a small introduction to what Cisco Labs is. So we are from Cisco Labs, and let me play a small video that shows what Cisco Corporation does and how Cisco Labs is a part of making things different and how innovation has helped Cisco Corporation to move forward and further in the industry that they are in. So Cisco Labs is all about unlimited technologies, endless opportunities, and transforming food service. So that would give you a brief idea into what industry Cisco Labs is in and how uh, the industry, how fast-moving industry that we are in, and how innovation will help to make things move faster and how strong it can be. So just to give you an idea about what Cisco Corporation is, we as Cisco Labs, we are a part of Cisco Corporation, which is the largest food services company in the world. This was initially founded in 1969, and the headquarters are situated in Houston, Texas. So this was ranked in the Fortune 500 list as number 54 in 2018, and this is almost 58.7, 59 billion in revenue. So you can imagine how big the organization is. So at Cisco Labs, there's a lot of things that we do. It's not only work. We have innovation sessions. We have interact also internal employee engagement activities that we do, carom tournaments, table tennis, musical concerts, beach parties, year-end parties, etc. We have fund who is sort of helping us with organizing all of this. It's an internal committee that we have. Also within Cisco Labs, we have training programs that we do. Also, we have Hall of Fame, which is internally talent recognition program that we have for employees who are doing new product development. So it's not only about work that we do at Cisco Labs. There's a lot of other things also happen. So slowly moving into today's topic, traits of an entrepreneur. What makes you stand out from others? Right. So basically, if somebody wants to know who is an entrepreneur, basically the introduction would be a person who sets up a business or businesses. taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. So you start a business by taking a financial risk to make more money. So that's the basic idea of an entrepreneur. So these are few entrepreneurs that you know who have helped the world in different many ways. And two of the very famous faces that you see is Larry Page, then we have Mark Zuckerberg, Richard Branson, and there's many faces that you would know. And these people have sort of uh, have taken that risk initially, and now they have grown into becoming world known people. So how do you become one of those, and how can we move into that line of sort of success? So these are few tips, and these are few of the quotes that these guys have said. Steve Jobs says, "Be a yardstick of quality." Some people aren't used to an environment where excellence is expected. So you need to make sure quality is the main thing that is driven. You need to always focus on quality, and excellence is what you must strive on. So that's what Steve Jobs says. If you want to become an entrepreneur, Henry Ford said, "It has been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste." So there's no time for you to waste if you want to become an entrepreneur. Every time, every second is very valuable. So you need to make sure you start working on something rather than wasting time and learning things, experimenting new things, and also trying to figure out how to do things different. Mark Zuckerberg says, "Move fast, break things. Unless you are breaking stuff, you are moving fast." That means you need to make sure if you are an entrepreneur or you are in a business or either you are in your career, you need to make sure you are adaptable to change. You need to make sure that you move faster than the others, and by being adapting to change and making sure you become a disrupt in the world that you are working on. Disrupt in the sense not to destroy it, but to make sure you make a big sound with bringing change into it. So you need to be a catalyst. You need to make sure you are the change that people are looking for. Bill Gates, your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. So we get really annoyed and frustrated when we get really negative feedback. But it says those negative feedback are the ones will make you the greatest by learning out of this. Chuck Dose, my goal is simply to simplify complexity. I just want to build stuff that really simplifies our basic human interaction. So it's all about entrepreneurship is all about bringing simple solutions to complex problems. So you need to figure out very how to make things simpler for the human interaction and for people to use. That way, it helps and it will sort of gets into the community very easily. People want to go into very simpler things. So definitions that we make about leadership. So entrepreneurship, or whether we talk about career development, wherever we go, is the key factor. You need to know what is leadership and how to be a leader within you. So definitions we all know. So successful leadership is about leading with heart, not just with the head. They possess qualities like empathy, compassion, and courage. Right. So likewise, there are many different quotes that people have uh, quoted about leadership. So leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Right. So likewise, there are many different quotes that different famous people have said about leadership. Go through Google and you will find these quotes. Read about these things because each and every has something for you to learn about what you should do as an individual. So leadership is not only about having a team to lead. It's also about taking in charge of situations, how you can be a leader within you individually. As an individual, how can you be a leader? You don't need to have a team. So these things will help you. Traits that everybody knows. So, number one, you need to get honesty and integrity. You need to walk the talk. You cannot be saying something and doing something. So, honesty and integrity plays a really key role. So, one of the quotes says the success of leadership is unquestionable integrity. So, nobody should be able to question your integrity. Then only people will believe that you are somebody who does what he says. Right? Without it, no real success is possible. No matter whether it is on a section gang, a football field, in an army, or in an office. Wherever you are, integrity is the paramount important factor. Right? It's very important that you are honest and integrity in whatever you do. Right? It might not necessarily be in a business. It might be a simple conversation with one of your friends. You need to uh, be honestly be and integrity. Confidence, right? Uh, the other factor is you need to be confident about yourself. One of the biggest things that we come across when we talk to individuals, university students, people are not confident about themselves, right? They know the factors, they know their subject matter, they know they can do it, but unfortunately, people find it difficult to find confidence in them. So you need to have self-confidence. You need to start believing. Unless you believe in yourself, no one else will start believing in you. So confidence is very important. So you need to start building confidence within you. You need to start trusting yourself that you can do this. Inspire others. Unless you are confident about yourself, you won't be inspiring others because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will be. So confidence is very important for you to become a leader because unless other people will not start looking up to you or be inspired of what you are doing. So inspiring others is very important and that's a trait that we know that a leader should have. So this is one of my favorite quotes. It says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, and do more, and become more, you are a leader. So you should inspire people to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. Then you are a leader. This quote actually covers everything that you should do as a leader or as an individual. You don't need to have the title of a leader. As an individual, this is what you should do. You need to help others to more, learn more, do more, and become more. Then eventually you become a leader. Nobody needs to be title, right? Commitment and passion. Always find commitment and passion in what you do. Unless you will not be believing in the work that you do because you are not committed and passionate about what you are doing. Then a good communicator. You should be able to clearly communicate what you want to say. So work on your communication skills. We have seen individuals who are really good at what they do, but unfortunately, they find it hard to communicate and put it across the table what they think and their ideas and their suggestions. So you need to become a really good communicator, a clear communicator. Then only people would know what you want to say and what you are doing. Unless you can communicate, it's going to be really difficult. Decision making capability. So believe me, all of that I'm talking about, saying leadership traits, are the ones that you really need to have if you want to have a career development also. These are the soft skills that an organization can look in an individual when we want to take the person to the next step. Unless you have these qualities or traits, it's going to be really difficult for you to climb them. So believe me, these are not only about leadership. That's why I said there's no thing as leadership. It's all about traits that every one of us should have if we want to have a development, career development, and a growth in our personal and professional both lives. Right? So as the next point, making capabilities. You need to be able to, unless you're confident about yourself, you will not be able to take decisions. So that's why decision making capabilities. You should be able to analyze, understand the situation, and take decisions accordingly. So that comes to you when you start believing in yourself, when you are confident that you know what needs to be done, right? So decision-making capabilities is required. Accountability. This is really important. You should be accountable for what you do. A good leader takes little more than his share of the blame and little less than his share of credit. So you need to be accountable for anything that happens, if it's good or bad, right? You should be able to take it and own it. If a mistake happens, you should own the mistake. And also, when you do really get, you should be humble enough to accept it also. Delegation and empowerment. If you want to grow up, you need to start delegating and empowering your juniors and your peers. If you don't do that, it's really hard for you to grow and grow up because there won't be anyone else who knows what you are doing and you will be stuck in one place forever. So delegation and empowerment is really required if you want to become a leader or even if you want to have a development in whatever you do. So you need to always empower your juniors, teach them, learn them, delegate them with tasks, and even your peers. It can be the person who's sitting next to you. So you need to start sharing knowledge, empower them, right, and work accordingly. Creativity and innovation. So in the modern world, you cannot be moving forward unless you are creative and innovative, right? So creativity and innovation is really, really important. You need to start thinking out of the box, see things, how things can be done differently, what more you can bring into the table, right? So Steve Jobs says innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower, right? Whether you want to be a leader or a follower is up to you. Then the last and most important point, empathy. You need to be empathy. You need to be empathizing people. And you need to have that quality with you. So these are a couple of traits that everybody knows that a leader should have. I'm just reminding you. These are factors that you know, but things that we forget also. So these are things that if you go and search in Google anywhere, you will see these things listed as qualities of a leader or traits of a leader. But these are not only for leaders, these are for every individual. You need to start working on these traits if you want to grow up in the career, if you want to grow up as an individual. The most important thing, like I said, delegation and empowerment. This is very important. You need to start grooming the next level, right? Your juniors, even at universities, even at clubs and organizations that you are in, even at your workplace. Let's say you are intern, but there can be new interns who are joining after you, right? You should start helping them, right? You need to start grooming the next level. You need to start giving opportunities to the next generation, right? Unless you groom the next level, it's going to be really hard for you to move up because there won't be anybody to take your position when you move up. Then you get stuck in one, right? So grooming next level is really, really important. So leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. Right? This is what you need to do as an individual. When you are there, you need to make sure others are better as a presence when as of your presence. And even if you're not there, they should be able to perform as uh, good as they were performing when you were, right? So misconceptions on leadership. So misconceptions. One is there's always someone. We believe there's always someone else to take responsibility. There's always someone else who can take call on this. Even at organizations, at universities, sometimes when you are working for a club or organization, you always believe there's someone else. It's the president who needs to take this. It's the secretary who will be taking care of this. It's the teacher who needs to do this. It's the union leader who needs to do this. So you always think there's somebody else who's going to take care of a situation. But it's not that. Sometimes there are things that you can take in charge. Maybe you can be a communicator. Maybe at least you can do something about it. So you need to be that person. You shouldn't be relying on somebody else to take care of a situation. You can always step in and take leadership in charge of that situation. Always know the answers. We always think if you are a leader, you need to know everything. There's no such thing as that. No one in the world knows everything. So not supposed to know everything, but you are supposed to be a good learner, good listener. If somebody asks a question, if you don't know, you can be really communicating, saying, "I don't know about this, but let me go back and search about this and come back." Right? It is not about always knowing the answers. Making everyone happy. You think if you want to be a leader, you need to make everyone happy. No, that's not how it works. We need to look at how the majority is impacted, and it's different people have different opinions, different experiences. Uh, they have different expectations. So sometimes when you are to do um, things that will impact the majority, there can be a minority who will not be happy about that because that was not what they were expecting. But if you are doing the right thing, then there's nothing you should be worrying about. In this world, it's not going to be easy to make everyone happy because different people, like I said, have basing on their different experience, their different opinions, their different ideology, they will have different expectations within each individual. So you might not be able to cater to each and every expectation of each and every individual when you are responsible for certain things. So always look at what is right and make sure you are doing the right thing, and also look at how the majority is impacted. People with a title, you believe you need to be given a designation or a title for you to be a leader and start taking care of things. It's not that you don't need to have titles. We have seen sometimes in certain projects that we do, there are software engineers who are taking the lead of the project, and you don't need to be a technical lead or a lead to be a lead project, right? So it's all within the individual, how mature you are to take responsibility, be accountable, and taking care of situations. That's why I say it's you don't need to have a title to become a leader, right? These are all misconceptions that people think that you need to be these things if you want to become leader. These are all factors that you should not be considering to see whether you have these to become a leader. Right? Born to lead. We believe that leadership comes uh, as like a God gifted thing. It's not that there are certain people who come with strong personalities from their childhood, and they will be eventually be looked up to as strong personalities, and they will eventually start leading because they have a strong personality. There are certain individuals who might not have a strong personality per se, but with time, with proper learning and proper guidance, you can also become a leader. There are many experience examples out there in the world where how some people were not having those strong personalities, but if you look at now, they have grown a lot. They have uh, gathered those characteristics into their life and how they have changed. So you don't need to be born as a leader, right? And we always think you need to have a really powerful personality to become a leader. I think this is a mistake that the movie industry has done. We always look up to somebody who's having a really strong personality, who is like heroic, taking in charge of situations. That's not the right? Strong personalities, personal, powerful personalities. These things can be gained into your life. It's just you need to start doing the proper learning. Then the best worker. So let's say you have a star performer, and we always think that the star performer is the next leader. Sometimes it's not the case also, because sometimes somebody who's doing really good can be only good at doing the work, but managing people and leading, taking lead of a project might not be the cup of tea for that person, right? So it's not always the best worker who can be the leader also. These are certain things you need to know. These are misconceptions of leadership that is in the community, in the world. So these are certain things that you can keep in your mind. So outstanding versus standing out. So the difference between outstanding and standing out is that Outstanding is prominent and noticeable, right? So we say outstanding performance is very prominent, it's noticeable. But standing out from others is exceptional and noteworthy. So noticeable and noteworthy are the key factors we need to know. Outstanding performance is you notice, right? You notice somebody has been doing really good and all. But standing out is noteworthy. It's just not that you note it. It's really worth of noting it. And people would want to remember that. And people would want to remember that they saw this. Noteworthy, noticeable. You see it and you see something different. That's all. Right. So how do you move from outstanding to a standing out personality? Is what we're going to talk about. So outstanding is being really good at what you do. But standing out is going above and beyond the call of duty. I will share like what are the differences between outstanding and standing out. Outstanding. So you have good communication skills. So you are really good at what you are saying. Strong work ethics. You have good strong work ethic. Teamwork. You really work within the team. And initiative. You take initiatives. Right. You share ideas. You share suggestions. And in certain points, you take initiatives in certain programs or projects that have been done. You have the required skill sets to do the job. You are flexible and you are adaptable to any situation, right? Relates well with others, so you can interact really well with others. You understand how the team works, etc. And you have problem solving skills. If there's a problem, you think differently, you try to find solutions. You have the required technical skills as well for you to perform the job. So what is standing out? Standing out, it's not only about communicating within the team, you're communicating across roles and layers. So let's say you are a software engineer and you are really good at your communication. You can even communicate across layers in your chief technology officer, even the managing director to chairperson. You have to do a presentation to talk with them. So you are very clear across what you know and you're confident enough within yourself that you can communicate across roles and layers. Right? It's not within your peers and the flow that you are in. See connections. You try to connect the dots. You try to see where everybody connects and you see how you can interact and integrate certain things. And you always try to see the connections rather than trying to be. Have strong network. So you are not only good within your team, but you are really good with everybody else. You go out there, you try to be a part of different engagements that are happening, and you try to network really well with different other teams as well. Know how to influence. So when you see the connections, when you have a strong network, you knows how to influence different individual and how to interact with them. Solve others' problems. So it's not only about problems that your team or you have. You try to go out of your limits, above and beyond the call of duty, and try to help others to solve their problems also in a different team or in different other areas. So you try to help them also. This way, you again build a strong network. Right? You have a unique skill set. So having skills against unique skill set. So when you have skills, you can be replaced because that skill is abundantly found in the market. When you have a unique skill set, it is not easy to replace, right? You know more and shares more. So you try to learn more things, you read, you uh, research, you try to gain more knowledge, and you share knowledge also. You don't keep it with you. Focus on strength of yours and others. So you always focus on the strength that the team has. What strengths you have, what strengths others have. So I hope everybody knows how to do a SWOT analysis for individuals. So in that way, you will know what strengths you have, what strengths others have, and you try to work with it. Sharpen the skills that are in demand. So you would know what the market requires and market asks for, and you start working on those skills. You always look for different skills. You see what is required, and you start learning about those things and you start sharpening on those. Right? So these are certain things. Um, the differences between being outstanding and standing out, right? So it's really important that each and every individual, right now, the common understanding is everybody needs to be outstanding, but the real thing in the real world, people actually look up to of people who are standing out. So how do you shift yourself from a normal average individual to outstanding performer, and from there to a standing out person is the challenge. So right now, think of yourself as you are a normal individual. You are not out there doing anything. So try to figure out how to first become outstanding. Yeah, you are recognized, you are noticeable, and from there, how do you once you achieve this status, how are you going to become a standing out person? How are you going to move into the next level where you are going to be a noteworthy person? Yes, so those are the things that you have to work on. Again, what I'm saying is all of these things are not very related to entrepreneurship or leadership only. These are the things that you need to start working on if you want to have a strong career. So this is going to help you a lot in your career development as well. So in the modern world, we look at people not only who has technical skills. We want people with lot of soft skills, strong soft skills, because that plays a really paramount impact in all the work that organizations do. Certain quotes that individuals have said about choosing a career. So the very famous quote: "Choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life." That is really true. That you need to find something that you are really passionate about and you really love to do. It's not what you achieve; it's what you overcome. That's what defines your career. It's not what you gain; it's about how much of problems that you overcome, how much of creative innovation you bring into the table, how much of things that you start doing differently that has an impact is what defines a career. And find out what you like doing best and get someone to pay you for doing. So, like the first quote, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So you need to find something really good you are good at, and find a place where you will get paid doing that also. So our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. So it's not always easy. Uh, do not do not go with the trend, right? Sometimes we have seen mistakes. Even I have that. We believe you try to do what you're doing. If one of your really good friends says, "Let's do this," and I feel like this is going to be the best career, this is going to be the best industry for us. Even if you don't like it, you start going with the trend. You move behind it, and you get into that industry, and after a while you will understand that this is not what you want to do, and you will be really stressed out and depressed, and you will not be focused enough, you will not be very productive enough, and with that you will not be having a really great career. So because of that, from the start itself, figure out what you want to do. Even if you're in the IT industry, even in whatever you do, try to find out what industries will you the most excited person, and what will make you more excited to be a part of, and try to get into that. And believe me, it's even if at start, even if the pay is not going to be that great comparatively to your friends and all, eventually the win will be yours. When you are very passionate and committed about what you do, you are going to eventually find ways of developing within you. If you try to choose something with the trend and get into that, you might not be that excited, and you will not be recognized as a person who are doing great, because within you are not actually committed and passionate. So because of that, always it's really important that you find what you like to do. Right? Success is how high you bounce when you hit bottom. It's not going to be always easy when finding a job in careers. There's going to be always ups and downs, right? But it's always about when you hit the bottom line, how fast you can get up, how soon you can recover, how soon you can come back to your normal performances, right? And making mistakes is fine. Right? Humanly, we make mistakes. And believe me, organizations do that, they do accept it. But repeating the same mistake is what going to make things worse. So always try to learn from your mistake, right? And always in a career, the most important thing is find what you really love to do. That is what makes things different, right? It's going to make a huge impact in your future. Always try to find what you are really committed and passionate about, what you really love to do. Start from there. So the IT personality, okay? Is not about information technology or individuals and things. Okay? This is about a personality that an individual should have, right, in the modern world. So what does these two letters define? The letter I shows depth of skills that an individual has. The letter T shows depth of skills and breadth of understanding, right? So what does this mean? So letter I shows that is the traditional way of thinking and it's the old world. T is the new world. In old world, we looked at individuals who are really good at doing one thing, who has a really good technical skill in one skill that is out there. But in the modern world, we look at individuals who are really good at doing something, who has a depth of knowledge in one skill, but also has an understanding of other skills, who knows how things happen, and who, if required, they can perform a little bit in these areas also. Let me show you some examples. Let's say you are from the IT industry and you are a student who's learning to become a software engineer. I hope everybody has heard about Java. So uh, let's say you are really good at Java, right? In the old world, this is really enough for you to have a really great career. But in the new world, you would want somebody who knows really good about Java, but also knows about different other languages like AWS, JavaScript, Linux, React, REST, Docker, etc., etc., etc. Right? So this is the start of your career. So if you want to become a really good software engineer, we want somebody who's really good at one language, but also knows and has an understanding and knows how to different other languages also. So when you start here, this is not the end of the T personality. This is just the start. Once you start here and once you become a really good developer, yeah, you have a strong uh, a deep skill, and also you have an understanding about different other skills, you move on to the next stage. What is the next stage? Next stage is that T personality is what we identify as a developer. That means you have strong technical skill now as a developer. But as a developer, we want you to have understanding of how a business analysis work, how a quality engineer work, how a project manager work, etc. That level 2, the second step, right? Once you are a really good developer, you need to know how other areas work also. Now they are. This is that's same concept that agile teams are working on, agile Scrum methodology. So if you are a requirement engineer, you need to know how development and QE is work. If you are a developer, you need to know how testing and requirements work. You have a deep skill as a developer. When you're a tester, you need to know how development and requirements. So whatever the role that you are in, you need to have a breadth of understanding of how other functions work. That is the modern world of an individual that we are looking. So we call this the T-shaped agile team in the modern agile concept. And that T personality is what everywhere we are looking at. So once you have a deep technical skill, you have a deep knowledge about a language, you know how to work across different other language, you become a developer. Once you are a developer, when you know how other areas work, we call you a technical expert, right? When you are a technical expert, we want you to have the other management skill, people management skills, communication, emotional intelligence, collaboration, empathy, etc. This is what we identify as a person who is eligible to move up the ladder, who can become a team lead, who can manage people, etc. Right? So, in the modern world, what you need to become is a technical person who has these soft skills. So, all those skills that we were talking about previously, this is what we want individuals to become, right? So, when you are looking for a career, even though you are really good at your university, you are maybe the batch top, maybe you are in the first 10 of the batch top, right? You need to step into the career world with zero mentality. You need to come with a learning mentality. You need to come as that you don't know anything. Because believe me, in different organizations have different cultures, different ways of doing things. So if you come with a zero mentality, it will help you to easily adapt into these cultures and start being a part of the team. And also believe me, we have seen many instances where even though you are the batch top, once you step into the career world, somebody who has been down the line, or maybe who was the ninth or the 10th or the 12th, will move faster in their careers than you are. That is not because of it. That's how different people start working once you're in career, right? Once you're in corporate. So you need to have an open mindset. That's why I said come with zero mentality, start learning, and it will help you to evolve and embrace change. Right. So always come with a zero mentality that will help you a lot in making sure you can get adapted soon and have a really great career. Um, so today I think we quickly went through the presentation. I hope everybody understood what I was going through. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, great. So moving on. So if you want to really be a part of a team and start working on and start performing as a team, because as individually, even though if you are a really good performer, and if your team is not performing that well, it's going to be really hard for you to also to move up. So these are five dysfunctions that have the world or out there has been identified as five dysfunctions of a team. And if you can address these five factors, you can definitely be able to perform really well as a team. So one is absence of trust. And this is not the trust that we talk about. So the trust that we talk about is predictive trust. What do we call as predictive trust? Predictive trust is you have been working with the individual for so long that you can predict what the individual might do or your friend might do. right? Example, given a situation, you have been working so long with the individual, you know exactly in this situation, this person will be reacting like this person will be doing this, etc. Right? But what we are looking at in a team is vulnerability based trust. So, vulnerability based trust is what we say is very equivalent to how vulnerable you are to be with each other. More like how the trust that we try to build between our loved ones. If you do a mistake, you would go and say, "Sorry, I made a mistake. This is what I did," etc. Right? So, unless you have a vulnerability based trust, it's going to be really difficult. What is vulnerability based trust? One is this gives confidence to an individual to accept if there's a mistake, right? You will be openly saying, "Sorry, I made a mistake. This was my mistake. Let me correct this." That's number one. That's one side of vulnerability based. The other side is you become that because you are confident about the other person that they will understand that a mistake has been happened and they will help you to overcome this, right? In most of the teams, what happens is people do not talk to each other or share ideas or be open or give constructive feedback because you are always not confident how the other person would react, what other person would think, how would they take it, whether they will take it positively or negatively. If they take it negatively, whether it's going to disrupt the relationship that you are having with the team. So you need to take that silo and that mentality and keep aside. And everybody needs to start communicating openly. Where constructive feedback is taken as learning. Where when somebody acknowledges or accepts a mistake, others should be able to acknowledge it and help the person to move on. Right? When ideas and suggestions are shared, people should be able to share any stupid and dumb idea without having the feeling that they will be judged upon what they say. So this is a really hard state to achieve. Unless a team achieves this, the vulnerability based trust, it's going to be really difficult for people to move forward. And in these five dysfunctions of teams, this absence of trust is the foundation. If this is not there, definitely the other four factors you cannot take away, right? So I hope everybody understands what I meant by vulnerability based trust. So once you don't have trust, that's why I said then fear of conflict comes. Like I said, you fear to talk to each other. You fear to have a argument with a friend. You fear to have give constructive feedback. You fear to have sort of challenge somebody's idea because you do not believe that it's going to be a positive outcome or a fruitful outcome because it's just going to create a conflict only. That happens when you don't have the vulnerability based trust. If you have vulnerability based trust, you will not fear to conflict. If you feel that the idea will not work, you will be out loud saying, "Sorry, I feel that this idea will not work," right? Or maybe you can argue, you can challenge, you can put across different ideas, you bring something really um, questionable into the table and ask people to have a conversation about it around it. That compatibility happens when you have vulnerability based trust only. If you don't have it, then differently fear for conflict happens. You will not challenge anything. You're challenging it not because you hate the person or you else's success. You do this, you conflict to make sure that the great outcome comes. Once you have, when you don't trust, when absence of trust is there, you have fear. When fear of conflict is there, there's lack of commitment because you feel like you're not being a part of the decisions and the ideas that are there, and you don't feel that you want to be a part of this. You are less committed. You only do what is being asked to. You are not committedly coming towards what the team wants to achieve. When you have lack of commitment, you avoid accountability. That is where we have this famous saying, "ball party." Right? When you don't want to take accountability, you say, "Look, I don't know about this. I didn't know about this. I didn't get an email about this. I was not supposed to be doing it. This is not in my area. I'm not looking into this. This person is the one who's looking into this. So you try to avoid accountability a lot, right? Once you start avoiding accountability, anything. So if you want to really perform as an individual, your team also needs to perform. So if you want your team to perform, you need to start building one vulnerability based trust within the team. It's going to be really difficult, but one individual needs to start practicing that eventually it becomes a culture, right? So vulnerability based trust. So if you look at teams that are performing really well, who are having high performance levels as teams, we will see that though in those teams, each and every individual is also recognized as high performer, right? Why? Do they know something better than you? How come they are that skilled? It's all because of the vulnerability based trust. Once you have a vulnerability based trust, you become so comfortable around that team, and you know you can you can count on your team, right? And that is where they step in, they cover for individuals, they make sure there's no gap in the work that they do, right? There's no lapse in the work that they do. If somebody is absent, there's about 2, 3 people who are willing to step up, cover for the person, make sure the work gets done, because you have that trust among the team, and because of that it becomes so comfortable to work with each other, and everybody is more focused on the end result than the individual performance. When you are more focused on the end result, and when you have a culture where you can be open, where ideas get flashed but not negatively, those ideas are being flashed positively to bring a better outcome, right? When you feel like you are a part of the decisions that are being made, your commitment is more, your accountability is more, you are more focused on the results, and you are more focused on the results as a team. When you achieve more as a team individually, eventually when you look back, it shows that individually people have performed, right? So it's really important for you to avoid these 5 dysfunctions of a team when you're working in a team, for you to perform as an individual as well. So I hope this gives a clear idea, and throughout what we discussed gave you guys a clear idea of how things work. And I hope this helped you in understanding how we should be doing it. Yes. So thank you very much. Sorry, I quickly went through the presentation because some things were things that you already know about, and I hope this helped. And if you have questions, you can ask, and I will try my level best to answer.